It has been literally months since I've made a video here. If you've been here for a while, you know that I usually try to put out a video every 3 weeks or so, and it's been literally 2 months. And I promise there's a very, very good reason for that, and it is because we've opened a yarn shop. If you want to know more about the process of opening our own online yarn shop and all the things that we decided to carry in it, please keep watching. So welcome to another episode. My name is Amy Scher, and I am the knitting pattern designer, spinner, sometimes weaver, kind of a jack of all trades, fiber artist who often makes videos here and tell you all about what I'm up to. I am the lead designer at Amy Scher Makes, and since we last talked, lots have happened in our little world, and I don't even know where to begin. So what has happened since the last time we talked? I've released a whole new pattern, the Weekday Tee, for spring summer knitting, and it is using one of our first yarns that we carry in the shop, Wool Dreamers Sala. Opening an online yarn shop took so much more planning and so much more cash flow than I ever thought imaginable. And when we started thinking about it all the way back in August of last year, we knew that we would need all the way until March this year to gather the troops, if you will, and to get everything ready for you. And we knew then that because we are such a small micro business, we would only be able to carry 1 or 2 yarn bases at launch time, at least until we can expand a little bit bigger. And so it all kind of goes in with kind of our business ethos and our goals of creating garments and accessories that are a joy to knit and a joy to wear. So ever since I became a knitting pattern designer in 2021, a core goal of the design business has always been that I want to create size-inclusive garments using yarn from a diverse and sustainable group of makers, dyers, etc. I've always selected yarns for my patterns very carefully based on a number of metrics that are important to me. And eventually I realized that it's actually quite hard to source yarn for your own knitting. It's very difficult sometimes to find some of the recommended yarns, or sometimes I would use a yarn in a collaboration with a dyer and then the yarn would become unavailable and then knitters have to find substitutes, and it's a whole big headache. So in August of 2023, we decided to start adding curated yarns to our pattern collections so that you can knit exactly what I have, basically, and we can choose to promote some of the small makers and mills and farmers and so on that we care about, that we've worked with before, that we want to bring to you and make more available to you. So the first yarn that we've decided to carry is what I'm wearing today. This is my Weekday Tee, and it has just come out as of yesterday. Today is Thursday the 25th, I think, of April, so the pattern is fresh and new, and by the time you see this it'll be a few days old, but that's okay. I've just really been procrastinating on making this video. So the Weekday Tee. It is my new summer and spring knitting pattern for a t-shirt just like this. It has all the usual things that my recent patterns have. Since 2023, we started offering bust starts for a little bit of front shaping for anyone who needs more in the front. Since the middle of 2023, many of my patterns also have a wider front than back, so the total circumference of the garment is split up unevenly. There's a few more stitches in the front than the back, and that count actually increases as you get into the bigger size ranges because in the bigger sizes, the bust takes up a little more room than the back of that circumference. So this has all of those things. It has compound raglan that's super easy to knit because I have included a row by row counter for you to check off and count your stitches as you work, so it's super easy to use. I knit this up using our shop yarn, Sala. So here are some balls of Sala which come in a range of 7 really, really beautiful colors. Here's 2. This one is for Telly, which I think is going to be like my next Sala project. And then this one is the one I'm wearing. It's called Grown, which is a beautiful sagey heathered white greenish color. And here's Fratelli again. Oh, the heathering is so pretty. I love it. Okay, so sauna. About sauna. This is a yarn from a small family mill out in Spain. They're called Wool Dreamers, and I've worked with them before a few times, and I just really enjoy their attention to detail, their quality, and their focus on wool and spun yarns. If you've been here a while, you know that I particularly love wool and spun yarns. And for those who need a little refresher, wool and spun yarns are yarns that have been washed from the fleece and then carded and then directly spun from that carded fiber. Now, in worsted weight preparations such as this skein of yarn here, you would also comb the fiber after the carding. So it would be carded, combed, so that all the fibers are pointing the same way, parallel to each other, and then spun. And I have a particular soft spot for woolen spun yarns for garments because the way that the fibers are disorganized and haven't been combed into submission means that it creates like a very lofty, airy fabric. All that disorganization traps more air in between the fibers. That creates a very airy, lofty, lightweight feeling, and is great for temperature regulation because of all the extra insulation. You're more temperature stable as you wear it. So here is my finished tee. Weekday Tee knit in Sala. It is basically the t-shirt version of my weekday pullover and dress. So it has this sweet little raglan detail down the compound raglan in the front and in the back. And it has a pretty generous, like almost scoopy crew neckline. So ignore this part with the mic. This is the part that it actually looks like. So as you can see, it's a very summery, very easy to wear, like basic tee design. You know here that I kind of gravitate towards knits that are basic, but with like a little extra something. A design detail, a lace panel, a cable panel, like something to elevate it into that next row. And this is the latest result of my design aesthetic. So this version, size B, I think used 4 balls of Wool Dreamer Sala, which we've priced at $9.85. So that makes this t-shirt less to make than a retail cotton tee, which is wild. And this is 50% cotton and 50% traceable wool. And what I really like about this yarn is that I have been struggling to find really good, responsibly produced cotton that isn't made using camp labor in the Xinjiang region in China, and finding just like clothes to wear that are well made and sustainably made has been incredibly challenging. Listen, if I'm going to knit tees, I'm gonna make sure I can do it better than what I can buy. And honestly, what I can buy lately is not great. Like what's in the fast fashion market is incredibly flimsy. I feel like the cotton knits have gotten thinner and then the neckline warps on me immediately. Like there's all kinds of problems happening with fast fashion. And so like my intention behind designing this tee is to create something I can knit over and over again for like daily. And my hope is that it'll last longer than like the year or two that I've been getting out of my cotton tees. Anyway, enough about my soapbox, more about this yarn. So Wool Dreamer is a mill that uses water sustainably, that traces, you can trace your fiber back to a single group of farmers, and it's all made and grown in that region in Spain. All of the cotton is grown in Andalusia, which is like a historically, traditionally well-known place for cotton production in Spain. So all of that means that we have a very, very sustainable. So all of that means that we have a sustainably produced, ethically milled, just like all around good fiber, good yarn in 7 really beautiful heathered neutral colors. I considered all of them neutrals. They're like 7 neutral colors. They're so beautiful. I'll put a picture here while I talk so you can see all the colors. All of this results in an incredibly wearable and breathable and easy tee that I plan to wear all of spring and probably all of autumn. I think when it gets to be like over 85 degrees Fahrenheit here, I don't want to wear wool anymore, and then I kind of switch to like all silk garments and things like that. And of course, all cotton, all linen are very comfortable for me to wear, but I really struggle with knitting 100% cotton or 100% linen. Silk is okay for me, provided I have ridged needles from my Chatty set, which I'll talk about in a future video. Let me know if you want to know more about like ergonomic needle sets. We have them in the shop. I just haven't had a chance to like tell you about them yet. Anyway, back to yarn. This is like a very scattered, informal video, chatty video. I don't have a plan for it. I just decided to come on and chat with you about a shop. Maybe I should have a plan for when I do things like this. What do you think? Do you like this kind of informal chatty format, or would you like it to be more structured? I don't know. So anyway, the Sala tee is kind of born out of my desire for a good everyday tee to wear, and I hope that you'll like it too. The pattern is available now, as well as the yarn on my website, Amy Sure Makes. As always, I'll put everything in the link below and also link any product cards that I can up here somewhere. And hopefully you will get a chance to check out everything we have to offer with this pattern and the yarn that goes perfectly with it, all in our shop. Very easy. And if you already have yarn that you're thinking about using for this pattern, it's also available on Ravelry, and you can buy it there as well. So as I said earlier, I knew that when we launched our yarn shop, we would only have the finances to carry a couple of really good yarns to begin with. And with our first launch, we decided to focus on spring and summer fibers. So as you know, there's the Sala with 50% cotton and 50% wool. And this is our other yarn that we carry, the Big Little Yarn Co. Organic wool and linen fingering. So if you are not familiar with Big Little Yarn Co., it is a yarn company, a yarn dyer based out of Hyogo, Japan, and it's dyed by Melanie, who I consider to be like a total genius when it comes to color science. And she has this beautiful yarn base made out of organic wool and linen. So why organic wool and linen fingering? Well, linen is one of the most sustainable cellulose-based fibers there is. It requires the least amount of water to grow, and it is very sustainable in its milling process. It doesn't create a lot of chemical waste, such as when you mill bamboo, it creates quite a lot of chemical waste, such as bamboo. When you mill with bamboo, it actually creates a ton of chemical waste that you then have to dispose of, so bamboo is not truly like a sustainable fiber. But linen is, and I generally struggle, I'm not gonna lie, I struggle with knitting pure linen. So in this case, I have sourced a 30% linen and 70% organic wool, and the organic wool makes it a lot easier to knit. So if you've ever knitted with a cellulose fiber, such as cotton or linen or silk, you know that the difficulty is in the lack of crimp and the lack of stretch in the fiber. And the added wool really makes it stretchier and easier to knit. I have swatched with this yarn, although the sample of the oolong tank behind me was knit by our sample knitter Gillian, just because I didn't have time. But it's very pleasant to work with and very generous in yardage. And of course, it is hand-dyed yarn, so it is pricier than the Sala. This one is priced at $32, but it has 506 yards of lovely fingering weight. Yeah, so we are carrying it in this color, Majo, which is a beautiful plummy muted purple. We have quite a lot of this in stock because it's not as eye-catching, I think, as our other colors, but it is my personal favorite of the three. I think it's so beautiful. The other two colors that we are carrying are Matcha, this beautiful matcha tea inspired color. I think that's showing pretty true to color, like nice saturated sunny tonal, and one speckled color, which has been your favorite. There's not many of these left. The Girl Who Fell from the Sky. This is, I think, inspired by La Puta Castle in the Sky, the Ghibli film. So this one is really beautiful. I love the base of that blue, and it has some like yellow and greeny speckles in it. And because organic wool and linen fingering is a non-superwash yarn, it is really suitable. It won't grow too much when you block it. It will retain its shape. It has that bounce that we love. And it also takes up color really how to say it, like the color when you dye non-superwash yarn, the color doesn't strike instantly. It kind of spreads a little bit in the water. So it has that kind of like melody watercolor effect. Oh my gosh, go away face. It has that kind of like melody watercolor effect to it, and it knits up really beautiful and gentle. You can hardly see the color variations, but they're there and they give a lot of really beautiful depth to the color.
So those are our 2 yarn offerings.
Here's the 2 in swatch side by side. And it's so funny how they knit up to almost the same gauge, but the woolen spun Sala feels really thick, and then the linen blend that's worsted spun feels really light and drapey. It's actually thinner and more drapey than this one, which is loftier and more substantial as a fabric. So you can also see, like when I hold it, you can see how the drape is very different. Isn't that interesting? I love spinning and I love talking about yarn and different preparations. That's really fun.
So I gotta say, for somebody who's like, I want to sell yarn that matches my patterns perfectly, we kind of went really hard on our accessories and notions. And this is just because once we got into the fun of like designing and working on a collection, it was just so fun to add accessories that we love and want. And by we, I do mean myself and our assistant product designer, Symphony, who joined us like a while ago, over a year ago now, to help me with admin things around here. But now she oversees a lot of the production of our notions, which I will show you now.
So we've developed a range of really cute, really usable notions, such as this cute little leaf stitch marker. And they have little clasps that are really easy for my fingers to open and close. I struggle with lobster clasps, so when we set out to design these notions, I immediately knew that I wanted this style of easy clasps. And that also makes them very friendly to friends who crochet. People who crochet, you're in luck. This is easy to use for you. So we've got oolong tea leaves, we've got cups. This one is our best selling one. This little blue teacup here has been very popular with you. But we still have plenty because we ordered a ton. We got like way too excited. So the little stitch markers are available individually. We also have a teapot, which I'll put a picture here, but I can't show it to you here because it's upstairs in the project. Like I immediately stole a set and started using it, so now they're all over the house. They come in single like this. They come in a set of 5 for a discounted set. And I'm gonna link to the discounted set either here or below somewhere, so you can take a look. I'm not gonna belabor it, but these are like seriously my favorite stitch markers ever. I just find them so easy to use. They're designed for us by a small artist that we commission, and yeah, it's just been really fun to develop this. This teacup really feels like something special. Our first collection is called the Oolong Collection, and we brought like a range of Taiwanese oolong teas as well. I'll talk about that in a separate video, I think, because this video is gonna get way too long. But we also have oolong tea from Taiwan, which is where I'm from. As you all know, I love all things tea, and we have quite a few tea inspired patterns. So we wanted to make a collection of notions and goodies that are inspired by tea, and it's available now. Lastly, today I want to talk quickly about our collaboration with Tuft Woolens.
So I worked pretty closely with Martha at Tuft Woolens to develop this beautiful scent. It comes in a luxury bar soap for hand and body and a wool soap, which I love using. So if you've been here for a while, you know that I don't just like sell stuff so I can sell stuff. I've been using Tuft Woolen for over 2 years exclusively while hand washing my knits. So it feels truly special to be able to help come up with a scent, Citrus Grove, for my favorite soap and bring it to you in the shop.
So Citrus Grove is my take on a very common scent scheme, which is citrus. You'll see citrus everywhere in soaps. This one has grapefruit and orange, but I wanted something that had some muskiness to it to kind of take it away from that like super fruity realm into like a more complex world, because I'm a big fan of more complex fragrances. and we wanted some muskiness to ground it. So as a result, it also has, I think, almond and a little bit of vanilla and honey, all to balance out that citrus, that heavily citrusy scent. So it is a wonderful scent that I think really evokes the idea, like the feeling of walking through an orchard, through a garden, with the ground beneath your feet, the smell of freshly wet soil from the rain, all of those things. So solid wool soap is one of my favorite ways to wash my knits with because it comes in a bar. It comes with pretty minimal packaging. There's like no plastic packaging in the product itself, only in what you ship it in, and everything is recyclable or compostable. And the way I like to use it is I cut it into little chunks and then I run it underwater into my basin so that I can soak my knits in it. And I really like it because it's really easy to control how much you use. One bar lasts forever and ever and ever, so you only ever need to buy it once for like years and years. I've been using the same bar since like 2022, 2021, I think 2021, and I have yet to use it up. So I haven't even broken into the Citrus Grove scent yet, except for a sample, because I still have a bar from Tuft Wools from like ages ago. So that's how long it lasts you. So we also have that in our shop. I hope that you'll give everything a try. We have so many other goodies. We have needles, we have stickers, we have gauge rulers, things like that. Everything is out and up in the shop for you to check out today.
Finally, I just wanted to quickly touch on the values of our shop.
As regular viewers will know, Amy Sure Makes has always been about making things more accessible and inclusive for people. So a big part of me wanting to start my own yarn shop is because I wanted to provide heavy discounts and even full yarn support for testers, especially of the upper sizes, because when you're knitting a larger size, you need more yarn, and then like the burden for the privilege to volunteer for a designer becomes bigger if you're knitting a larger size. So you're doing a designer like a huge favor by knitting a huge garment to test their pattern, and you have to pay extra money compared to other sizes for that privilege. And that has never sat right with me. So we are here at the yarn shop, being able to carry these yarns ourselves gives us the capability to provide more yarn support spots than we previously did. We have been providing yarn support for a long time now, about a year and a half. But now we're able to slowly scale that up. So when you support our shop, you support these small makers, small mills like Wool Dreamers and Big Little Yarn Co. And you also support our values and the system that we're trying to set up in place to make things a little bit more equitable and to make my knitting pattern designs even better and even more size inclusive. So for everybody who has already shopped our update or who is considering it, for everybody who has shared about our shop anywhere on social media and who has watched this far, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so grateful that you have chosen to support our little tiny growing micro business. And we have so much more coming very soon. Like as I'm filming this, my shelf over there is full of things that we have not yet launched. There's so much more to come. So if you want to know more about all the things that we do, please don't forget to subscribe, like this video, drop a like, leave a comment. If you have any questions about the shop, I'm so happy to answer them in the questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.